this morning we have a great opportunity. We have a guest speaker, Carla Rosenberg from Match Point. Carla is a former student of Coach Newman, and she has played college tennis. She's been very successful in the business world. She's very philanthropic with what she does as well, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story today and offer you an opportunity to ask some questions as well about her journey thus far. So welcome, Carla Rosenberg. Thank you.
Very cool. Well, thanks for having me here today. I'm really humbled, and as Carol mentioned, I'm a washed-up tennis player, and now I own a company where we work with professional athletes, and we help them manage their charities and execute high-profile charity events. And that's actually why I was in town this weekend, and some of you helped me out, and I appreciate it. But we did a charity golf tournament for 2 days for one of our hockey players here at Barton Creek. So one of the things is I firmly believe that the competitive tennis background that I had, and being very fortunate to have Jack as my coach during my formative years, has helped me shape the way I conduct my life, how I conduct the business. And I think the tangibles that come through playing athletics, they stay with you. And so that's kind of what I want to share with you today. But I don't think my work defines who I am or gives me my sole purpose in life. I like it. I think it's a privilege. I think I'm very grateful to do the work that I get to do. But I think the context of where I come from and the experience that I have had has helped provide you a little bit more insight as to how I got here today and why these philosophies have kind of informed me. So to begin with, I'm the daughter of Lorraine and Ian Rosenberg, two of the most influential people in my life. And they provided me with an exceptional childhood, and I'm very grateful, and I wish everyone had one. I grew up in South Africa. That's where I want to talk a little bit funny. And I have two younger brothers who are twins. So my mom was hoping that I would be a prima ballerina and go to dance class and do all those girly things, and I totally shattered her dreams. And I love sports so much. I was such a tomboy. And I wanted to play soccer so badly because all the boys played soccer, and I loved the sound of the cleats on the ground. I thought that was so cool. But girls weren't allowed to play soccer in South Africa. Hey, Doug, how are you? So I didn't get to play soccer. So we compromised, and I was allowed to play baseball on an all-boys team, and tennis. And we immigrated in '93, ultimately to give my brothers and I the opportunity, as we were growing up during apartheid. I don't know if you guys have learned that yet, but during the time of segregation and political unrest. And my parents wanted to be able to provide the opportunity for my brothers and I to kind of come to school in the States and flourish from there. Fortunately for us, my grandparents exposed us to the world through traveling, and tennis exposed me to the world, to my sport that I came to love. I met Jack when I was 12 years old, and I started training with Jack full-time when I was 14, when I moved to the States. So I was probably a lot of you guys' age at that time. At that point, I was #1 player in South Africa, valedictorian of my little school, and head girl. Kind of thought I was a big deal. And then I moved to America, and I had none of that. I didn't even have a friend. So it was a growing moment for me, a big inflection point. And fortunately for me, I got to train under Jack, and he was a great mentor to me. He taught me at that time not to just rely on my talent, that I had to work hard so that I could position myself to achieve some, and good things will happen. And that was a time where I was this was a new country, a new territory, and I decided to focus myself to the thing that I loved, and I found a community with the tennis, and Jack was an awesome coach to me, and I spent a lot of time working hard at my tennis and trying to glean all that insight. And I went off and I played college tennis at the University of Illinois. with Brandon Davis, if anybody's still here, but I know he graduated from there too. And then I decided to enter the job market. And I had no idea what I wanted to do because what I wanted to do was be a professional tennis player. I knew I needed an internship. I was fortunate enough to do an internship with World Team Tennis with Billie Jean King. And I remember after the first week thinking, if this is what work is all about, I'm into it. I loved it. I don't know if it was because I was around tennis people or the comfort of being around a tennis environment, but I really enjoyed that experience. I also realized I had no experience, and therefore the mindset of a tennis player is you work really hard to set yourself up for success. Well, I felt like I needed to go back to school and get a business degree if I wanted to work in sports and give myself an opportunity. And so while going back to school to get my MBA, I did an internship at the Texas Rangers and the Dallas Stars. So I went back to Dallas where I live now. And I did about a year-long internship working for the two teams. And then I got my full-time job at the Texas Rangers Baseball Club. That was my first ever job. After working several years there, transitioned over to the Dallas Stars and worked another 7 years there with the Dallas Stars Hockey Club. I then did a brief stint at 2 sports marketing agencies before I went rogue and started a company called Matchpoint, because that's the only point that matters, right? So today, I want to share with you some of the lessons I've learned, and I think the philosophies that I've learned, and it's all through playing tennis. And I never realized this. I give some speeches to some nonprofits and to some other businesses, and everything I'm saying, it's like, I wish there were some tennis players in this room that could relate to me. So this is like very fortunate to be able to talk to you all, because I think we could relate in a lot of levels. Understanding winning and losing. Well, I have a news flash for you guys. You're going to mess up. In comedy, it's called bombing. And I know full well it's going to happen, which is going to probably suck longer and harder than a Dyson. I probably don't even know what a Dyson is, but that should be sponsoring my dating life right now, but that's neither here nor there. No, but the biggest lessons I learned was from failure. And you lose tennis matches, you make mistakes at an event that I do. I cannot stay down. If every match that I lost and every event that something went wrong, if I stay down, I wouldn't be able to move forward. I've got to stubbornly refuse to let that happen, same as on the tennis court. But I think you have to have the bad or the adversity to appreciate the good. Be coachable. Now you got to remember, half the time I'm speaking to business people, and you guys understand what be coachable is because you're tennis players. And it's the same thing at work. It's just listening. Sometimes you're not able to see yourself. You're doing things that might not be serving you well. Be open to gaining information. And maybe the best tennis analogy that I can use is that like your coach, your primary coach maybe tells you something time and time again. This is how you should maybe follow through or use this grip on your forehand. And then somebody else says the exact same thing, and all of a sudden it's that aha moment. Like, why didn't you ever tell me that? They just were, it was just a different way of saying it. Or maybe that day you were open to receiving that information. So, recognizing also though what works for you and what doesn't. I think one of the key learnings that I've discovered is, well, you want to be open to learning new things and new ideas and figuring out new ideas and new ways of doing things. You also want to recognize things that can jeopardize your performance. And it needs to make sense for you. And I go to these conferences and you're just bombarded with all this information. And I walk away and I'm like, gosh, I know nothing, or like sometimes I think maybe I know this, but it's very overwhelming. And sometimes you have a practice or you have a day where there's just a lot. Take what works for you, focus on those things that are going to help you that day to help you get better. And maybe, you know, it's not everything, but it's small things to help you move forward. And I come back from the conference, I kind of summarize everything, and I take the nuggets that I think that can work for me, and then move forward with those. But I hone in on those. The third one is preparation. And for me, this is a big one. Because I remember Jack saying to me specifically, like, talent wins games, but strategy, intelligence, and passion and hard work wins championships. And I feel like, you know, there's no substitute for working hard. And I never understood that until Jack was my coach. He taught me how to set a work ethic, and I couldn't understand why every time when I stepped out on the tennis court I felt the most confident, the most secure, the most happy. And that's because we trained so hard, we prepared so hard, that I felt if someone was going to beat me, it's because they were going to beat me. It wasn't because I wasn't prepared enough. And so preparation, I take that along with me now to my everyday life, and especially to work. I do very big events, and if I'm not prepared, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. I prepare for every conference call that I have. Sometimes I'm speaking to people that really, I can only maybe get 30 minutes of their time, and I have to do stuff with them in 6 months that's of a large caliber. And so I have to maximize that time. I have to prepare for that. It would look really bad if I spoke to an athlete for the first time and be all over the place. So preparation is key. You learn this in tennis. Going back to the thing that I shared with you earlier, I went back to school to get my MBA so that I could maybe set myself up for optimal success. My mindset in tennis was always like, do the very best you can to set yourself up for success. Well, I thought I needed to have a higher degree, because if I wanted to work in business, I needed to prepare. That if I didn't get the job, it wasn't because I didn't maybe have the right learning, but I might not have had the right experience yet, or some of the right skill sets, and then that's okay, but it wasn't because I wasn't qualified enough. So again, I looked at that, I was preparing for the future, and where eventually I would like to end up in my career. Be decisive. I have to make decisions in real time under high pressure situations a lot. And Jack actually saw me this September make a big decision on a big event we were doing. Dirk Nowitzki, basketball player, had a charity tennis event out in Dallas. And we had a ton of media and a ton of celebrities coming in to play that. And it was 6 a.m. in the morning and it was raining. Not just a little bit, like Armageddon. It was raining hard. And the matches started at like maybe 10, okay? And I have all the news channels and Dirk and everyone on the phone needing for me to make a decision whether we're going indoors or outdoors. Now fortunately this was, at least in my sport, it wasn't like baseball or hockey, so I had some idea of what could happen, but it was a big deal. We had set up everything outside. To have to move everything inside could take time that we might not have started at 10 a.m. and we needed to. We had people flying out right after the event. So we had to keep this thing on time. Anyway, again, I had to be decisive. I had to make a decision. Obviously consulted with my mentor Jack, and we spoke about some of the situations. And I just walked right out there, and it's raining hard. It's dark outside, and I go, we're playing outside. And I think everyone looked at me like I had a third eye. And that's okay, but I was very decisive and I was confident, and we just moved forward. And I think if I would have said, well, I don't know, what should we do, what does everyone think we should do, I don't know if the outcome would have been, again, I can't control the weather, but in terms of us executing, and fortunately for us the weather did clear because we saw that the clouds were going to go, and we had dryers out there and we cleaned the courts and we were able to get going at 10. But I think being decisive really helped that situation. And I think tennis helps you do that. Because I played tennis most of my young life, I never really played in a team sport. Like I dibble-dabbled in some team sports, netball, you don't even know these sports. It's a little bit of baseball, whatever. Tennis, you've got to do everything yourself. And you're on that court, and if you get hurt, you've got to determine, do I continue to play this match? Will it affect certain things? Or can, do I not play because I got nationals next week and maybe? You've got to make that decision. No one can make it for you. Also, you're not coached when you're on the court. You've got to adjust your game plan when things aren't going well. It's not like you can sit out and tag another teammate to come in and play singles for you. And I think having that experience where you have to be on your own making decisions in what I call high pressure situations has allowed me to translate that into the work that I do today. And I think I kind of alluded to this earlier. You grow the most when you are uncomfortable. I know that's when I've really learned the most. Having my own business now, I've been getting an amazing lesson and being stretched in ways that I have never been before. I have clients that challenge me on a regular basis. Every day I'm put into, not every day, but very often I'm putting into situations that maybe I've never been before and kind of having to adapt to that. And again, it's like tennis. It might be windy outside, you didn't know that. It might be cold that day. You've got to just adapt. You might be thinking you're playing a push and all of a sudden they're treeing that day and they've got the best forehand in the world and you're like, how did that happen? I wasn't expecting that. So again, when I relate this to sometimes when you have an injury, you have to get back into shape and kind of you step off the court and you kind of reflect on things that when you were playing and you're like, gosh, when I get back out there again after I'm healed from this injury, I'm going to really appreciate being on the court more, or I'm really going to get like an extra 30 minutes in the gym or things. You start thinking of those things because you've stepped back, but it's also because you put it in a comfortable situation. You're injured, you can't go out, you can't compete, you can't do that. And so it gives you a perspective and an appreciation of what you had. And one thing that I've learned is being vulnerable doesn't weaken your authority. It actually strengthens everyone else around you. And that's it is. In our office, when like some days we're tired and some days things are not going our way, but it's okay, we're a team, we work together, somebody else will step up and really push everyone else. And I think you guys have that dynamic here at ATA. So you grow the most when you are uncomfortable. Develop others around you. Again, tennis is an individual sport, as I've said, and Jack kind of taught me to think of it as like a team sport, which I don't know whether that was directly or indirectly, but constantly at a young age, going out onto the court and when hitting with people, acknowledging when they're playing well, or kind of encourage them when you can see somebody's not having a great day. Especially younger students, some of the time you'd have us coach them. I never understood why, but I think about it now in the office, and we have all these different personalities, all these different ages, and it's amazing how you just never know that you will say something that influences someone else. And I watch that happen every day. Someone will say something that's so encouraging to someone that just lifts them up, and from them having not the best day, they're now executing with excellence. Or someone does something for somebody that's like really kind or steps in for them, and then it just elevates them. It happens in the workplace if you have the right team, and I think it happens in this environment when you're on the court and you're encouraging each other. Just basically, the bottom line is treat people the way you like to be treated. Integrity. I have one thing to say about this. If you compromise this, you'll never get it back. The power of adjacency. Who you align yourself with. Basically, it's who you have around you all the time. You guys are so fortunate that you have each other and you have incredible coaches and staff here at ATA, but not everybody has this, and so people make bad choices because of the people that are around them. And so my anchor is my family, and then I get to choose my friends, right? And I feel very fortunate to have some amazing friends because they're people that I really love and respect. And they're there for me when things aren't good, and but they're also there for me when things are good. And I feel like I surround myself with people that make me better, and I'm also very fascinated with people who have achieved excellence and what separates them. And so they might not be my friend, but I'm always eager to learn from them and and that's why working with a lot of athletes who've achieved so much success in their life and seeing how they conduct their lives or what separates them from everybody else. I'm constantly trying to pay attention to those things to help myself get better. So just be aware of who you have around you, because I think that can help you be better. And in the same light, it can also bring you down. Step up when the occasion arises. My little elevator. Fear prevents us from doing a lot of things. And I look at a lot of the athletes that I work with, and they are fearless. It's unbelievable to me. And that's where they say winners take chances. The reason why they take chances is because they're fearless. A lot of us fear failing. I never really understood that until probably when I was trying to qualify for Junior US Open. I was up a set and a half, and then I actually started thinking about it, and then I lost the match because fear took over. And you choke and you push. And I think I have the utmost respect for people who, when it counts, and it's on the line, and they go for it. And again, I see it. It's a character trait that these athletes have. It's a character trait that separates the champions from some of the other competitors out there. Even the way I got my job, I was an intern, as I mentioned, at the Texas Rangers and the Dallas Stars. And I opened up the newspaper the one day, and I saw that they were going to hire a new chief operating officer at the Texas Rangers. And it was someone that I had read about and was learning about, and that he was a really sports marketing guru kind of guy. And I knew I needed a coach now in business and wanted a mentor, someone that I could learn from. And I went to HR as an intern, and I said, hey, is there a position available to work for that guy? I read a newspaper article in the Dallas Morning News, and I'd love to be his intern. I'm thinking, gosh, another year of being an intern, or his assistant. And they said, well, there's people that are applying for the job, and we've narrowed it down to 31. And I said, can I be 32? Like, please? And fortunately, I ended up getting that job. But if I would have never gone in there and just at least taken the chance, stepped up when the occasion arose, I don't know if I would be in the position that I was when I was working with the professional sports teams. Produce results. Actions speak louder than words. And it sounds so simple, but I'll never forget, I went home to South Africa over winter break when my tennis coach at college told me to stay behind and play in a couple tournaments. And it was like in Milwaukee, it was going to be -5 degrees, and I was going to get to go to South Africa, and it was going to be like 80 degrees. So I chose South Africa. And I got back, didn't play tennis for 2 weeks, and he put me at line number 6. And so I called my dad. And I was like, Dad, my coach put me at number 6. Like, can you speak to him? Like, this is ridiculous. I just went to South Africa for 2 weeks. I'm not playing great, and I'm a little out of shape, but went on, and my dad isn't saying anything. And then I'm waiting for him to say, Carla, don't worry, sweetheart, I'll get on a plane and I'll come speak to your coach. And there's still nothing. And he goes, are you finished? And I said, yeah. He goes, win your matches and you'll play top in the lineup again. And that's when I really learned, you have to produce results. I have to execute with excellence on every single event I do, because if not, there's somebody else who's just going to come and take my place. Everything sends a signal. Do you guys still do the 4 stages? Okay. Not every day is flowers, lollipops, and unicorns and hugs. And but you react to all those emotions, verbal, non-verbal. Everything has a meaning, right? Everything sends a signal. When you're losing and you're banging your racket, or when you're screaming and you're kind of not composed, it shows me that I'm going to beat you because you're so vulnerable right now, you can't even think straight. But when you're very composed and poised, and you're losing, I'm so thrown off because how are you so put together and I'm beating you. So I start now thinking all these things, right? It all sends a signal, and that translates into the workplace about the way people are with other people, the way they dress, the way they speak to other people, the way they react to situations. Everyone can react to the good situations well. It's to the bad stuff, how they respond. Everything sends a signal. And so I learned this actually through playing tennis, and specifically one day, I was acting up on the court, and Jack yelled my name, and he goes, I should be able to look over there and not know if you're winning 6-love or losing 6-love. And for some reason that day, I even remember what court I was on at Fred's, and I remember the straw hat that you were wearing and where you were sitting. When he said that, it made so much sense to me. And ultimately won a lot more matches than I should have because of that, and a lot of sportsmanship awards too, which was kind of cool for a change. So everything sends a signal. No one's perfect. And I think as a tennis player, and just in society, we idolize people and we think of this thing for perfection. And there is no such thing as perfection. There's certain qualities that some people have that might be perfect, but it's what's perfect to you. And we compare ourselves to others, and we have a tendency to be hard on ourselves. And I think what you have to do is try and focus on yourself. And I learned that through playing tennis. I can't control how that person on the other side of the net is going to play, react, respond, but what I can do, bless you, is respond to the way how I behave on the court, how I react, how I can try and perfect myself so that I can win matches, but I can't control them. And there's no such thing as perfection. There's certain things that some people have that are perfect that you can learn from and take from. Even this guy, we all thought he was so perfect. So that's my thing. I have a much longer elaborate story there, but it's more business related. Be flexible. Realize that there's more than one way of doing things, and you need to be willing to try others. You sometimes have to deviate from the way you're doing things, and be flexible about it, and it's okay. And I know as tennis players we tend to be so perfection oriented, and we want to kind of stay that way, but I look at it as I wanted to win Wimbledon and be a professional tennis player and find a cure for a disease because my mother was unwell. But there's something that I say is called ability and a doctorate and that you must have. And I could swear there were days I could taste the strawberries and cream, and I could picture myself curtsying at Wimbledon on center court and all those things. But I didn't quite get the chance to serve in volley at Wimbledon. But it's funny what I do now. I work with professional athletes at big sporting events, and I get to work with charities and give back a lot. And so it might not quite look like the way I thought it would, but it's pretty close to what I'd hoped for, and it makes me happy. There's only 15 guys, so we're on the second to last one. Do the little things really well. I am meticulous about details. I'm fanatical about creative ideas and interesting ways to communicate. I'm selective about content. And I think that goes back to the fact every time before I played a big match, I would stencil my racket and I would regrip it. I was just fanatical about those little things. Make sure I had all the right equipment in my bag before I went out on the court. And I try and do the exact same things now. You should see my car after this 2-day event. It's got the little match point supply kit that I think has everything in there, that if you were to fall and cut your leg, to you name it. If you needed a flashlight, I think I have that too. So it's just the little things, but it's the little things that make the big things. I'm sure you do performance outcome goals, and that's where I learned that. It's all those little things to finally get to that outcome goal, and I think it's all the little things that we have to do to kind of separate ourselves and be a little bit better than the next person. I like to pick up the phone sometime and dial the phone number versus just send a text or just shoot an email. I think it's more personable, and just sometimes, not all the time, but that's, you know, a little detail that sometimes goes a long way. Writing a note with an address and a proper stamp, that goes a long way to say thank you to someone versus just kind of shooting with an email, because those are easy things to do. It's just the little things. And the last one is visualization. And this was before Oprah had her vision board, I'd like to say. I learned visualization through when I was being coached by Jack. You know, the same way I said you want to be around people that can make you better, it's amazing when you have positive thoughts and you visualize positive things. I remember when I moved here, because I wasn't in the system, so I wasn't like champs or super champs yet or whatever to qualify. Jack gave me a thing that said top 10. It was a laminated piece of paper. And he said, put it on your mirror. And every day I saw that. I didn't know what, I mean, I knew top 10, okay. But it could have been top 10 in a lot of things. It could have been top 10 in my graduation class. It could have been top 10 in Texas. It could have been top 10 in the nation. You get my point. Top 10 in the world, blah, 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 blah. I look back now, and during those years that I had top 10 there, I was always, in whatever category of things I did, within top 10. Just weird. I look back at that. I was telling Jack the story yesterday. Every year, January 1st, I put on my board in my office my goal of what I want to achieve for the company, for the year, financially. And we get very close to that. 9 times out of 10 we hit it, and sometimes it's ridiculous. But I do it, and I see it every single day. And it's a positive thing, and it motivates me, and when I'm thinking and I'm on the phone about do we take this project, don't we, and I look at that, how close am I to that, it's there all the time. I visualize that. I think positively, and I did that all through setting goals for myself, through thinking through how I'm going to win that finals match the next day, and how I'm going to behave on the court in a positive way. I do that the exact same with my events. I visualize. I cannot control what's going to happen ultimately on event day, but I can try and do all the things up until then to get there. The only way I can prepare for it is to visualize it. The majority of events I do are first-time events. They've never been created before, so we have to conceptualize and get it to that point. And then obviously when you're in the 3rd year of doing something, the 4th year of doing things, it becomes a little bit more like clockwork. But I visualize the outcome being positive and really think through that so we can have the best result. So this last slide, I just popped this up there this morning because I think excellence is never an accident. It's always the result of high intention, determined effort, and skilled execution. And I love this little roadmap because it's such a metaphor there. But you know, not only was I fortunate enough to be able to play tennis at a high level and be a part of a program very similar to this, and you guys have it way better. I mean, you have Carla in the school and all these amazing program. I think also being around very high level athletes and recognizing the traits that's got them to the next level, I'm telling you, it's all because of those 3 things. And so, in closing, find your field of fascination. You should be on fire with what you do. I did that with tennis. I love tennis so much. I wasn't the best player, but I now love my career just as much as I love my tennis, and I feel like then the results will come. And just know, some days, I think I nailed it. And some days, I think I have so much to learn and grow, and that's okay too. It's part of the process. So I hope some of these lessons that I've shared with you today helps you to accomplish some of your aspirations and gets you to the next level. So I'm going to open up up to any, does anyone have any questions? You can ask me anything about anything. Yes, sir.
What is an inflection point?
It's that moment that I think that takes you to that next, I don't say next level, but next moment that you realize it when it happens. It made me better, or it did something to me, or at least this is how my interpretation of it, there might be a different one. But it was that moment that I really felt like changed me in a way that was, for the better. And so there's things, and you don't sometimes realize it's happening when it's happening. I feel like it's after a while, and you look back and you go, was that moment that I changed doing things in a certain way because I had that instance happen, and it was for the better. But like I said, when it was actually happening, I had no idea, looking back.
My second question, thank you for that. You're an elite tennis player. I watched you play often. I look back and say, okay, how in your business now do you take on a project like you would take on an athlete who you weren't sure you could beat, or maybe you didn't even believe you could beat them? We face it in this room often. We make decisions about whether we're going to win or lose before we even go onto the court. How would that differ, or how have you overcome, or how have you created the mindset to say, listen, is there a place where you see this project and go, really, I'm not ready for it, but I'm going to take it on anyway?
That's a great question. It happens all the time. And I think I've grown and learned through those moments. And so now my answer to that is I only take on the perfect client. I take on the client that makes sense for me. So well, the minute I feel all those red flags and all those things that I'm not feeling right in terms of how we're communicating, how I think maybe personality type, maybe this project is not in my wheelhouse, or it's just going to cause me more headaches than we'll never make this person happy regardless. I have to have the willpower and pivot and say, I can't do it. It's very hard to say no, especially when you have your own business. You want to be able to take on as much as you can because you want to have the clients in the project. But you have to have the bandwidth, you have to have the quality to do it. You have to produce the quality, and I don't want to lessen that by taking on things. And at the beginning, I made lots of mistakes by taking on clients I shouldn't have. Fortunately, I've had loyal clients the ones I've had from day one continued, and I've evolved with them, and I've had to adapt to their personality. There are things that they like to do that I wouldn't do, but I feel like I need to share that with them, but then ultimately let them make their decisions. So I've had to learn and grow and adapt to them so that we kind of find that middle ground so we can work together. But like I said, now in the beginning, if I sense that it's going to be a little bit off, I walk away from that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What exactly?
Thanks for helping yesterday.
What exactly does Matchpoint do?
So, great question. So there's really two sides of the business. One is we help professional athletes manage their charities, their foundations. So you will have a charity here. The event you guys do every year for your scholarship, it's the same thing. So a lot of these athletes have their own foundations where they're giving money to either kids or building basketball courts or whatever their chosen field is. So I help them set that up. What are their programs? We help hire staff so that they can run their charities, and then to be able to give scholarships to kids or whatever it is that they want to do, right? And then a part of that is fundraising events, bringing money in so that they can do all these awesome things. And so that's how I got into the event space, was doing all their charity events. And because I'm a sports person, have that sports background, I ended up doing a lot of sporting events, like professional tennis, or whenever there's a sporting event, they somehow kind of rein in, which has helped me because now I'm not just focused on tennis. I work with Cowboys, Stars, Rangers, a bunch of different teams in sports. So we do big events where we're raising money, either for the charity itself, whatever charity that is, or for the athlete's charity.
Have you worked with any tennis players?
So not one-on-one, like my client is the tennis player, but I've worked on professional tennis tournaments where tennis players are. So there's that tennis tournament, it used to be Irving Tennis Classic, it's now Dallas Tennis Classic, yeah, that Challenger.
Dallas
They play in between Indian Wells and a week. So we started that event, I did it for about 4 years. A lot of tennis players were there. And I did get to go to the Australian Open last year. And I just, even though I got a credential to work a day in the media just because I wanted to kind of see what it was like. So technically I wasn't working, I was more shadowing, but those were my 2 tennis experiences. And then when we did Dirk's event, which was a tennis event, but not with any tennis person per se.
How would you describe Dirk?
Genuinely one of the most humble and
Tell a story from yesterday about the car.
oh, people ever. And what I mean by humble, and I'll share that story in a second, is this guy has obviously achieved, you know, the greatest success in basketball, but he never acts bigger or better than anybody else. And you could see that when he was doing his contracts. If you remember, he never took the highest salaries because he wanted to make sure they had the right team so he could get to a championship team. Exactly that mindset is how he is. I mean, he could be a total you-know-what, and he's not. And it's amazing to do that consistently over a long period of time because there's a lot of people around you who are not acting that way. I think when you strut, you stumble. Remember that? And I think Dirk never struts, and that's what makes him so awesome. You know, I was telling Jack yesterday, I spoke to them the day before the golf event, and I'm on the dual line with him and his wife said, Carla, as we were hanging up, Jack, tell me what his address is. So I'm like, Jack, he goes, you're tennis coach, Jack. So I go, oh, sure. She goes, I just realized we never sent him a thank you note. I said, oh, don't worry about it. I, thanked him. I spoke. She goes, no, we need to write him a thank you note. He was so helpful to us. So that's why I said, Jack, is it okay if I give them your address and whatever? And that was the story. He doesn't have to do that. He's Dirk. Why does he have to thank us, But he does, because I think he's in touch with reality, which sometimes these people are not. And it makes it great to work with people like that, who are genuinely good people.
So in all your experiences with high-level athletes and just really successful people, what are some of the common traits that they share?
I think, and I touched on a couple of that today. I think the ones that I get to work with, what I notice is they like things done now, okay? And so when they have an idea, or if they want to do something, it's not like I think it's going to wait. Like, oh, we'll give it a week for them to settle in. They'll pick up the phone and they do it. They all do that. So that's like a common thread. I see all the athletes. It's this like high functioning, they have to do it now. And then we move on to the next thing. The other thing is if something bad happens, it happened, okay, and now let's move on. And I think we have a tendency to kind of like sit on it for a while, think, and just bring us, they don't, they just move right on. They all have that. And I think I touched on fearless. They go out and they do it. I mean, they are fearless, and they are like that in their sport, when they're executing, but also, being put in situations that are uncomfortable for them. I have some guys who are not good public speakers, and they just get up and they'll do it, and they try to own the rope. Nothing gets in their way when they want to get somewhere. So that's also what I mean a little bit by fearless. They'll just go. They're not worried about what other people will think. They want to achieve their goal.
Any other questions for Carla?
Yes.
How do clients find you?
How do they find me? Oh, that's so right now I don't do any marketing or advertising. It's all word of mouth, so referral basis. So hopefully they've found me because I've done a good enough job that all the guys are talking amongst themselves and was like, that person over there or that company over there did this, or who did your event? Now I've been doing this for 4.5 years and I've still got a long way to go, but I think being out there with the events, and that's why I stick to doing the events, gives us a lot of exposure. So it's almost like my behind the scenes marketing, because I'm out there in front of people all the time, so they start realizing that's the person who's doing that. And again, you know, I said actions speak louder than words. I've just got to produce good results all the time, and I firmly believe, because that's proven to be the case, that other guys will recommend me because they all talk to one another and they all want to have that same level of way of doing things, whether you want to call it excellence or a certain level of sophistication or anything like that. And now my goal has always been the go-to person, at least in Dallas, for any athlete if they want to do a charity event or a foundation. And I feel like we're getting there where people know now. There's a big charity event, there's a big sporting event, there's a big athlete involved in something in the community, Matchpoint is probably behind it.
Do you have any events that you're currently planning, like right now, or?
Yes, and it's on this computer. This is my baby. I'll try to think off the top of my head. So today is April 26th. Yep. May 7th, doing Taste of the NFL, which we're doing that at the new Dallas Cowboys practice facility in Frisco. Oh, the headquarters, sorry. Yeah, and they practice out there. It's unbelievable. They just built it in less than 6 months ago. It really is like a Taj Mahal practice facility. We're setting up on the field. We're partnering with the Dallas Cowboys and the North Texas Food Bank. And we've got 30 top restaurants in Dallas involved. It's called the Taste of the NFL. People come out. There's 30 stations with all these different chefs preparing meals. And so guests come and pay. They come out onto the football field. We give them the VIPs, get a tour of the facility. It's brand new. A lot of people in town haven't seen it. So they'll get to see the facility. And then they go out there and taste. They're paying to be there. But it's the Dallas Cowboys offensive line will be there. And they get to hang out with, Coach Garrett and some of the old guys like Troy Aikman and whatever. And it's like a big, we call it a tailgate party. We have Reckless Kelly performing as our band. And so that's one, May 7th. May 11th, I'm doing a gala. It's a masquerade gala. My hockey player, he's a goalie. So we came up with this event called Behind the Mask, MASQUE. So people have to wear a masquerade kind of looking thing, because there was a metaphor on that. Because he's a goalie and he always covered himself with his goalie mask, right? When he took it off, now this is his new face in the community, being philanthropic. But also the kids that he helps, it's a leadership program that he does for 5 years. When they come the very first day, and it's just ironic that part of the teaching, it's who you are and who you want to be, and who you really are and who you want to be, and to unravel that throughout the process of this leadership program and get to where you want to be. So, like in 4 days, I have 2 events, and I probably have another 10 between now and the end of the year already booked. Yeah, and they all happen at once, so it's very tiring. But it's because it's done either in the spring or the fall, because a lot of athletes go home for the summer. And then with Christmas and New Year, people are kind of away. So I can have a week where I can have 3 to 4 events a week, like that, in the next couple weeks. That'll happen.
Thank you, Carla.
All right.